Ask Reddit. If you were to become 5 again while maintaining everything you already know, what would you do? Probably start a candy pyramid scheme in elementary school and build it up through middle and high school. Throughout the years, we could change the products to fit the age group, and eventually I'd be the head of my very own drug cartel. I did that during high school. They took all the candy out of the vending machines, so I carried around a backpack full of candy and soda and sold it for $1. I made a surprising amount of money. Try to correct my parents all the time in the most smart-aleck way imaginable, whilst doing something like sticking Lego up my butt or throwing my dinner on the floor, or whatever a normal 5-year-old does. No, Daddy, you're not jealous of your friend's nicer car. You're envious that your friend has a nicer car. Jealousy implies fear of being replaced by someone else. Eats crayon. Please come up with more examples, laugh my ass off. Mommy, I just said that I thought Johnny's shoes are cool and would like some just like this. Your argument about jumping off a bridge is both deflection and presents a rather severe logical fallacy. I'm not suggesting your point is valid, but the way you are presenting it is flawed. Besides, look how fast I can run. Then proceed to QWOP out of the room like a spaz. My mom would tell me to go to kindergarten, and I'd begin to protest, but then I'd realize I get nap time, so I'd go to kindergarten. Kindergarten was the best. You had nap time, juice boxes, coloring books, and the only time you had any sort of work is if you needed to recite the alphabet. Of course, that's when the bullying started. Cocky little bastards criticizing my octopus drawing when their drawings looked like piss on paper. I remember that like it was last week. Probably creep out everyone around me even more than I already did at 5. A 5-year-old with all the knowledge of a 28-year-old is generally not going to go over well socially. Think of your parents' point of view. One day their 5-year-old is walking around chattering about dinosaurs and regular other 5-year-old things. The next day they wake up knowing calculus and physics and whatever else you might know. Bonus creepy in my case because I had an advanced degree in criminal justice. So instead of physics, it'd be serial killers and crime statistics. Mom. Sweetie, don't tell strangers your name. There are a lot of bad men out there. Me. Actually, Mom, last year was the beginning of a sudden crime decline nationwide, which will leave crime rates the lowest they've been since 1960. I would show my teacher that I am better at math than her with complex calculus problems. Who's dumb now, Mrs. Speckerman? I'd take this one step further. Show her that you're a genius, and then when she freaks out and goes to tell the principal what a prodigy she's found, he comes and asks for a demonstration. Then act like an oblivious 5-year-old. Mind boggle that teacher for years by occasionally whispering physics concepts or political opinions to her when no one else is around. I actually daydream about this all the time. I would be the wisest 5-year-old in the world, but to not freak people out, I would keep my thoughts to myself for the most part. When I grew up to be a teenager, I'd ace high school and avoid making poor decisions. I would probably be really bored though, hanging out with my own age group and having an adult's brain. You probably just have an entirely different circle of friends due to your maturity level. Dad, it's 1979. You should invest in Microsoft. First, what the is a Microsoft? Second, my paycheck got boned so hard by inflation we're eating scrambled eggs and fried rice for dinner again. Third, stop asking your teacher to retake your standardized test. Who listens to a 5-year-old regarding investments in the first place? Jim Cramer. I would pay way more attention in high school. Actually take it seriously and take advantage of some pretty nice programs they had in high school. I would probably not work as much as I did when I didn't even need to, in high school and immediately afterwards. Actually start saving like my mom told me I should. What were some of the things you wanted to take advantage of in high school? They had some nice work placement programs, classes that teach stuff you'll actually use in work, personal life in the future, and a Running Start program that I could have done. In case you don't know, Running Start is where you finish the last year or two of your high school credits at a local community college. Those credits go towards your high school graduation and college credits. It's also free. Push-ups. Then I'd be ready to kick that kid's ass that beat me up in the 4th grade. Push-ups won't really make you ready for a fight. Strength is a big advantage though. I would have gotten that Scooby-Doo punching bag and robot Playmobil instead of a dumbass Chicken Run board game. Playmobil FTW. I remember when Sears was selling rebranded Playmobil, like the Highway Patrol set. Made me want to be a cop back then. Times changed. Buy Bitcoin when it was $0.0001 per coin. I'd mine it. It was super easy a few years ago. Any desktop computer could do it and generate thousands of Bitcoins, then sell up in November 2013. At that cheap, it is probably more efficient to buy them. Never quit piano lessons. When I was taking piano lessons, they told me that everyone who quits eventually regrets it, but I never did. It was a huge time investment for not that much reward. I was really good, but I was never going to make a living from it. I can and do still listen to classical music. Grab some .com domains. Simple, but genius. Easier said than done. There is a guy called Mike Mann who registered 15,000 .com domains back when they were free, but had to let them go when hit with a $100 per domain annual renewal fee. I'd get a lot of baseball cards and Legos. I'd also study a lot harder and encourage my dad to buy Apple and Microsoft. I'd encourage him to find a guy called Steve Jobs and invest in his little garage group. I'd also pay more attention in school and study art in high school. I'd also join the track team as soon as possible in junior high, if not in grade school. I'd encourage my parents to move to some very up-and-coming cities that didn't look as good when I was a kid. And I tried to get my dad to go for walks with me so he didn't end up so overweight and sick. I don't know how old you are, but buying Apple before 2000 wouldn't have given you much. I would put it all in Microsoft until 2000, pull out before the tech wreck in 2001, then put it all in Apple, then just laugh all the way to the Billionaires Club. I'd totally fill my conversations with blatant innuendo. My neighbor's cat got caught in the rain. I wanted to dry it off, but I love the smell of wet pussy. Are all chicken sandwiches made from hens? What if there's a rooster somewhere, and I'd have accidentally eaten cock meat? And adults everywhere would grow uncomfortable around you. Buy stock in a few new companies, Apple and Google. You cannot buy stocks being 5, can you? I guess you, as a 5-year-old, would have to convince someone else to do it. Who on earth would listen to a 5-year-old? Easily ace every test, make everyone think I'm genius, but then become a retard when it gets to the 11th grade stuff. You'd probably actually become a genius. You would test into accelerated programs and advanced placements early on, quickly catching up to your current education level. Then, since you're already in all of the genius classes, you can further your education and will have the time, resources, and ability to do so. The world then becomes your oyster, and you grow up to be a completely different person. Not to mention the scholarships that would come your way when you are 12 years old, applying to MIT, and even if you do not have scholarships, your future knowledge would make you rich enough to afford any school you could get into. In all honesty, I would probably use everything I know to put even less effort into school, college, uni. I mean, I did well. I passed my exams, graduated, but I never really achieved my full potential. Thanks, hindsight. And Dad. But yeah, I wish I could say I'd be a better person, but I probably just slack off because I know this and don't need to work harder. Yours is the most honest answer here. People are lazy, and all the other answers seem to be a lot of work. Screw that. Slackers unite. I would turn to my mom and say, Mom, I know I was crying because I dreamed my little buddy doll was Chucky yesterday, but I would really like you to take into consideration that Microsoft is growing each year, and the profit margin for even a modest investment would pay off exponentially, even with a standard 10-year investment period. There's also a small company called Google that, after reading their dissertation and 5-year plan and business model, also seems like a sound investment. If possible, I would like to go to a bank and start a money market IRA account to secure a financially sound retirement at the age of 45 instead of the standard 60. Also, I've come to the conclusion that your current husband is abusive and emotionally stunted, and his kids are havoc. If you don't take my word for it, that black eye wasn't from Little League. It was because I broke the frying pan handle and he swung at me. He told me that if I told you, it would make you sick. If you don't divorce him soon, I will be forced to call the CPS and have steps taken for me and my sister. Now, if it's okay with you, I would like an 8-ounce New York steak, medium rare, with a glass of Merlot. Grape juice. Love you, Mommy. Then casually skip away. So much investing. Once I prove myself a child prodigy, it would be easy enough to convince my parents to give me a bit of cash to play the markets. I jump on dozens of tech companies just before they hit it big, buy thousands of Bitcoin for pennies apiece, bet on any big events I could recall accurately enough, etc. I could easily become a billionaire within a decade, at which point I'd go buy a private island and spend the rest of my life relaxing. Read, hookers and blow. You don't need hookers when you're a 25-year-old billionaire with a private island. I'd prefer hookers. The kind of billionaire can afford, that is. At least they're honest and upfront about it. Gold diggers seem like a nightmare to maintain, but with hookers, you just need to toss them an occasional pile of money. My mom died when I was 5.5, so I'd say we shouldn't go on that vacation when she drowned. And then I'd tell my dad to stop smoking and start getting chest x-rays so they catch his cancer earlier and maybe he'd make it. I hope you're not bottling up these emotions and are getting some sort of help to cope with this. You and I may not be from the same walks of life, but I'd still be willing to lend an ear or even be pen pals. Hope you're doing well, buddy.